Hey there, welcome to FTP 7, your first Express.js server with PageKey Tech. I'm Steve, and I think this is an important tutorial because in the last one, we finally ran some Node.js code. In this one, we can dip our toes into the realm of writing servers. We're going to write our first API server in this video and talk about some of the principles of Express.js. So, what is Express.js? Their website says that Express is a minimal and flexible Node.js web application framework. So what's that mean? It means that it provides a cookie-cutter framework for making a website. So it takes care of all the technical details. It is a framework that's been built up, and we basically just fit our code into the framework where it's important. So we drop in our code that is specific to whatever we're trying to do. Meanwhile, it takes care of tons of technical details. Now, what are those technical details? Let's think about it. Why do we need this? What's it handling under the hood for us? A lot of stuff. If we didn't have Express.js and we were just trying to write this from scratch, reinventing the wheel, we would have to start a server, listening for connections on a port on our computer. We'd have to pick a port. On the new connection, every time we get a connection, we'd have to start a thread. In that thread, we would have to parse the HTTP request that the client is making, figure out what URL they're asking for. Based on that URL, we would have to execute some code. That code would be specific to our application, not part of Express.js. So like now we're mixing the middleware and the backend with our actual application, business logic code. And then once we're done with that, we have to write back the response. We have to make sure it's valid HTTP, serving files and images and all that stuff. That's on you. You got to figure out how to open the file yourself on the file system, read it, handle binary data for images, handle text data for files. If there are variables in the URL, you got to figure out how to do that too. Thankfully, Express.js handles a lot of this for us, and we can get started like that without understanding any of this stuff or having to rewrite it. So with that, let's jump right into a demo of Express. We're going to run hello world, or rather we're going to return hello world on / on our main endpoint there. We'll also create a second API endpoint / random fruit that'll do something. And soon, not in this tutorial, maybe the next one, we will connect a React app, a front-end website, to use this server, this back-end API, to get data from it, to get that random fruit. So let's jump into the demo. If you haven't already, consider joining the PageKey Tech Discord, where you can discuss projects and ideas, ask questions, and meet fellow people interested in tech and programming. So we have a folder open in VS Code for this project. Let's do npm init and hit enter a few times. And we'll start with the hello world example from Express.js. So let's pop that open. You can basically just Google Express hello world and you'll start to see it. And I'm going to go ahead and create a file called index.js to hold this code. And honestly, I'm just going to copy it over. I don't even care. And we can talk about what's going on here. So instead of import statements, which you might have seen in other languages, there are a number of different ways to import things in JavaScript. This is one way of doing it, where you have require. So we are requiring the Express package, which we haven't installed yet. I'm going to show you what it looks like when you try to do it and the package is not installed yet, and then we'll install the package. And then this app is basically, I don't know, this is how Express does it. You just create the app and you have a port constant for which port we're going to listen on. And we're saying whenever someone gets just the root address of our website, we're going to say hello world to them. And then we do app.listen and it says we're listening on a port. So how do we run this? First of all, let's code in our start command to npm. So we're going to say the start command is node index.js. We can run node index.js, but I'm going to run, it's the same thing. So I'm going to run npm run start, and look at that, we have an error. It says module not found. Cannot find module express because we didn't install it yet. We're trying to require something that we didn't install. So how do we install that? I think we should just be able to do npm I express. Added 57 packages. So that one package that we added had 56 other dependencies. If we open up package.json, we can see that it automatically added Express to our dependencies. And there's this little caret symbol. It's saying we want version 4.18.1, and the caret means anything better than this up to the next major version. So 14.2, it'll pull 14.3, But once you get to 4.19, actually I'm not sure of the specifics, whether it breaks here or it breaks here, but 4.19 I think would be considered breaking changes, so their API will change, the way we use it will change, and therefore like our code might break. So this tilde lets bug fixes get in, .2, .3, .4, without breaking our code. So that's all that is. Either way, don't worry about it. npm just added it to our package.json. We now have this node modules directory that has all of the dependencies and Express inside of it. You can see there's an Express folder, right, with the actual source code of Express that it pulled down. And of course, if you're going to have a Git repository, you want to add node modules to git ignore. That's a must. So we installed Express. What happens now if we run npm start? Now we get error in address in use. Now I'm not sure what I have running on port 3000, but let's just change the port because we can. So what if we wanted to listen on port 4000? npm start, example app listening on port 4000. That's awesome. So we can go to our browser, open a new window, and do localhost 4000, and we get hello world. So done. We got Express up. Good for you. That's excellent. Now, the other thing that we had in our demo, which, here we go, our demo also said we're going to create a random fruit API endpoint. So let's do that now. We're going to say app.get/random fruit, and then we're going to have a function that takes in the request and the response and does with it the following. And we'll do it for now. We'll just do response.send random fruit. And let's see if that works first of all. So we'll kill the server, restart the server. We're listening on 4000. Hello world still works. And if we do random fruit, we get random fruit. So that's good. That's what we expected. Now let's actually make it do something. I don't know if you would call this useful, but something that's not nothing. So we're going to have a constant array of fruit. And in that array, we're going to have apple, banana, and kiwi. That's probably enough. And we can just, I don't know, will it let us return that entire array? Let's start with that. But eventually we're going to choose a fruit randomly. Oh, it does let us return the entire array, but that's not what we want. We want to choose one of them. So we will say that we're going to get a random number. So that's going to be let random index equal math.random times the length of the fruit array. And we're going to return the random index and see if that works. All right, so we're going very iteratively, one little tiny step at a time, and that didn't work. So that shows us we have to make this a whole number. So we can do math.floor this, and actually I think it's a problem because it's not a string, so we'll just do that too. Pretty hacky, but if we're returning a string, there we go. So we got 0, we got 2, we got 4, 1, 2, blah, blah, blah. All right, right? So let's take a step back. What if we just do math.random? This is a function that gets a random floating point number between 0 and 1. So if you take 0 and 1, it's just, taking little bits in between 0 and 1. There's an infinite number of numbers between 0 and 1, right? So it's just picking one of them. And these are the kind of answers that we're getting, right? We're getting 0.2, 0.9, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, okay? If we multiply that by the length of our list, then we're getting numbers between 0 and the length of our list, which in this case is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the number that we generate now should be between 0 and 5. Probably not including 0 or 5 really, because that's pretty unlikely. And we see that's the case. So we have 0, 3, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4. All right, so that's working. Now we're getting floating point numbers. We want these to be integers, whole numbers. Those are actually two different things, but we just don't want the decimal points, right? So that's what math.floor does. It takes a floating point number with a whole bunch of decimals after it, truncates all those decimals, and just gives you whatever number. So if we called math.floor on 4.3, we would just get 4. So if we do that now we're getting 2, 4, 0, 2, 4, 0, 2, okay, cool. Now we can actually just send the fruit that corresponds to that index, right? Because 0, arrays are 0 based, right? So this is the 0th fruit. This is the 1th fruit. the tooth fruit, the third, the fourth. Okay, so 0 would be apple. If you refresh again, or did I kill it? Yeah, 2, 0, 1, 2. 2 is blueberries. So now we just have to index into that and return it. So if we return fruit of random index, we should have our working code. So we will restart, and there we go, blueberries, kiwi, apple, raspberries, banana. Okay, so we're getting a random fruit every time, and because we used a variable for fruit.length, we can add more fruit and it continues to work. So I don't know if I can think of too many more fruit. Tomatoes are fruit, right? Okay. And do we get those? We get tomatoes, we get blueberries, we get raspberries, watermelon. So it works. Endpoints finish. Good job. We have an API out there. Slash doesn't do much, but random fruit, if we for some reason needed random fruit in one of our apps, now we can go get that with this endpoint. And that's what we're going to do in a future tutorial. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this was helpful. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, consider subscribing, liking, and joining the PageKey Tech Discord.